Hi, welcome back to the Jac and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glenn.
He's my husband, Glenn.
Yes, I am. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews.
That's right.
Today, Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 2. Dos. And we only see those weddings.
Bruh.
2 weddings. Which, I know why they're doing this. TV, you want to drag out the episodes, I understand. But 2 weddings?
We saw 2.5. Because we did see the rest of Bow and Johnny's.
Yeah.
Okay. So we saw 2.5.
2.5, and then you take the little piece of the Brett and whoever.
Ryan.
Brett and Ryan. Yeah, it's Brett and Ryan. It's too many people.
Brett the female.
Yeah, it's too many people. Let's get started.
Anyway, we start off with I'm gonna say they'll be one of my favorite couples because I like Bow and Johnny, but I'm liking Michaela and Zach so far. We see Michaela and Zach.
She's fun.
She is.
She's a lot of fun. I think they will do well together, but I do just seem like there's gonna be a little issue somewhere down the road there. Him being a Renaissance man.
Well, we'll get to that because I don't think he had a good explanation. But anyway, so we open with Michaela in her hotel room. It's the day of the wedding, and her sisters pop in on her to wake her up or whatever, and she's excited, and she reflects on the fact that she wishes her dad was there. You know, every girl wants her dad to walk her down the aisle for her wedding, but we know from previous episode that her father was killed by a drunk driver. So he's not there. But she wants somebody that's like her father. She said her father was kind, open, and strong. And she wants somebody that would keep her safe like her dad would have.
Yeah, you know, she gives the example. You know, if something's wrong with her car or something happens, dad was there.
Yes. Dad
was there. And, you know, you expect your husband to be there to help out when you're in distress. So she, again, taking off what she said, she's that traditional, I believe in type marriage. Men should take a rightful lead and be the head of the house type deal. Take his rightful role. And
so we see Zach, his brothers come to get him, and we know that one of his brothers is engaged. He said that his other brother has a long-term girlfriend. And so he's always, like, you usually hear this about women, but he's a guy that's like, I've always dreamed of my wedding day. I've always wanted to get married. I've always wanted to have kids, and here it is. He says, you know, his parents are his role models. You know, they've been married for a long time, and he lives for marriage. That's what he said.
He has a good support system. You can tell he has a good support system, and like you mentioned, you know, you very rarely see too many men who say, you know what, this is what my marriage is going to be like. I planned it out in my head since I was day one. And there's nothing wrong with that. We just talk about that. We just hear women say that. There are a lot of men who wanted to be married. I always wanted to be married. You know, just because of seeing my parents being married and seeing my grandparents being married forever. And so marriage was always around me. It was always something that, you know, when you grow up, you get married and you have kids and this is your family structure. So I can understand Zach. I can feel him a little bit.
But the one thing that we see as we flip back to Michaela and her sisters, you know, they talk about her being a very passionate person. You know, that she'll bring the good feels to the marriage, but they bring up again the fact that she's stubborn. And one of her sisters says they have a name for it. They call her Hurricane K.
Hurricane K. Look, there's nothing wrong with being stubborn, but you got to pick, in marriage, you have to pick your battles. There's certain things that stubbornness is good for, and there's certain things that it's not good for. And that's something they're going to have to learn in their marriage, and she's going to have to be open. We remember from last season where they talked about Brianna being bossy. And she had to pick and choose where to be bossy. There's nothing wrong with being assertive. There's nothing wrong with being, wanting things a certain way. But you have to kind of compromise when you now. It's not about you all per se, but it's about us. And I think that's what happens when you get married. It becomes less about you and more about us. Yeah,
and so that's something they said she may have to work on, because Hurricane K comes in, it whips through, and after the storm is over with, there's the calm.
Yeah, there's
so
calm.
It was like, yeah, you know, it's fast, hot, brutal, and destructive, but afterwards.
But and like I said, she has to be careful because she doesn't want, if this
If Hurricane K shows up, she doesn't want to destroy Zach
and she definitely doesn't want to turn him off.
Yeah.
So that has to be kind of subtle if she want to bring Hurricane K out.
So we flip back to Zac again, and again getting prepared for the wedding, and we see Zac get very emotional. I mean, he was just overcome with emotion. It's like, I don't know this woman, but this day I've been looking forward to all my life. It's like, it's here.
It's here. I mean, he got choked up.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a nasty cry, but it was one of those cries where it's like, you know what? And I'm not even mad at him. I cried at my wedding.
But not like this.
No, when I get married at first sight, neither.
He was definitely feeling the nerves, and he said it came from, what if I don't measure up? What if she doesn't like me?
And I think that's what we don't see from too many guys on the show. We don't see the anxiety from a lot of guys. You see a lot from a lot of women who think about running, but from this side, the anxiety came from Zac, which was a male, and he showed his emotion, and he laid it out there. This is what I'm feeling. What if she doesn't like me? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't measure up to what she's looking for? What if the communication is not good? What if she's not attractive? You know what I'm saying? What if
she's not attracted to me?
What if she's not attracted to me? You know, all these things are playing in his head, and we very rarely see that from the men perspective. When they feel Married at First Sight, we always see it from the women perspective. I thought it was good for them to show it that way.
And I like the fact that his brother was like, if you weren't nervous or emotional, I'd be concerned. It's normal to be that way. But, everything's going to work out. His brother did a good job of calming him down because, he was like, whew.
Again, when you do anything like this, I think when you're on TV, reality TV shows, especially Married at First Sight, you have to have a great support system. You have to be able to have people who are able to talk you down and basically good counselors to put you in good perspective.
Absolutely.
We saw that revert back to last season with Vincent and his friend who sat him down like, dog, this is how you need to act. This is what's going on. We even saw Haley, his friend, do that last season. But again, you either take the advice or you don't. In those examples, Vincent took it, Haley didn't, and we see Zac taking the advice from his brother.
Yes. So. And we get to see Michaela one more time with her sisters, and we know the old adage, when you get married, you get something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. And so the something blue that they had, it was a little Star Trek piece. And they said their dad was a Trekkie. He turned them into Trekkies. And that just really touched her. She felt like, that lets me know, that's a reminder of Dad being here.
Yeah.
It was a little blue Trekkie, the space Starship Enterprise.
It was smart. I mean, it was pleasant. It was a pleasant gift, and once again made her feel like her parents, her dad, was part of the ceremony. Yeah,
our best case scenario is that he'll be the man of her dreams. Her worst case scenario is she hasn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
She's thinking on the good side.
Because she said, if you go back to episode 1, or I think it was one of the free shows they do, she mentioned that she is committed to this process. She mentioned that she's going to be all into the process. That regardless of what happens, she's going to give it her best shot. She's going to give it 100% of her. And I know we heard that before, but she's actually doing it. Even to the point where she was like, you know what? I stopped having my buddy come over when I found I was in the process. So she started having friends of the male persuasion interact with her. Friends with benefits.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's be clear.
All right, friends with benefits.
Not even for you, but like for y'all. Like she was saying, she didn't come in here like some people, like, I just cut my boyfriend off. Like, no. She never said it was a boyfriend.
She said it was a friend with benefits.
It was a buddy.
A butt buddy. I'm calling
a bed buddy.
A bed buddy, yeah. Bed buddy. So she said she cut him off, so
yeah.
So she's committed to this process and finding her husband and working things out.
All right.
And working the marriage out, sorry.
So now we're at the point where we're coming down the aisle. We see Zac come in, and he goes and speaks to Michaela's mom, and they exchange pleasantries, and she looks happy when she sees him. Like, okay,
yeah,
all right,
she pleased.
And so we see Michaela preparing to come in, and her brother-in-law is walking her down the aisle.
Yeah. John B. Not kidding, not John B. I'm sorry.
Far from
John B. I'm sorry.
No, it was not John B at all. But anyway, so when she hits that archway, that doorway, he's smiling, she's smiling, they see each other, it's like, okay.
And
I like what I see.
They like what they see.
I like what I see. And when she gets down the aisle, I'm like, oh wow, Michaela. She is all grins, and she's like, oh, you're gorgeous. He says, though, you're gorgeous too.
One thing I can say about Zach, he's quick. He's quick with it.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything he comes off sharp and quick.
Yeah, because the next thing she said was like, okay, Michaela meets Zach. Zach meets, oh, your name is Zach? Is that short for Zachary? You want a Zachary Jr.? And he was like, I don't know. It depends. That's up to you.
That's up to you?
She's like, oh, I don't know what to do. He threw it back at me.
Threw it back at me.
I thought that was funny. I was like, obviously she wasn't being serious. Maybe a little bit. But more so like, let me say something to be funny. Like,
only thing I didn't like, and we mentioned that, they were standing so far apart.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. I was like, gosh, they like when they were holding hands and they do the rings, like that hand was stretched all the way across.
And I just took it as being nervous that they didn't decide to get close together, and that the officiant never told them to get close together.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna chalk it up to that. Nothing, no spoilers here.
And so, as per usual, we hear the letters from the family and friends, and they talk about how loyal Michaela is, and how she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's fearless and energetic, with a beautiful soul and a big heart. Yep. And he was like, Zach's like, and a beautiful smile. It's just like, oh my gosh, she's like, a beautiful smile. But they did put in the letter that she was stubborn. Heads up. Just like, again, like Vincent and Brianna, they let him know you're bossy.
You can work with somebody who's stubborn. Trust me, I understand this. You can work with somebody who's stubborn. And you have to be able to do it in a delicate type way.
Wait, what?
What are you talking about?
Oh, you trying to be sweet.
You can deal with somebody. And again, it's not a deal breaker for marriages. It's not a deal breaker.
I'm not stubborn.
No, you're sweet and loving and kind. And I love you.
Anyway, and then she's a dog mom to Nova, and he's like, oh, okay, I could deal with that. And once she's open, she brings more sunshine to you than the sunshine. And he's like, okay. And so his family and friends wanted her to know that he's a modern day Renaissance man. Mm-hmm. He'll do anything to make her happy. He's been thinking about this his whole life. So thank you.
Yeah.
For this being the day that he'll stop talking about it and thinking about it.
That means he talks about this all the time. I mean, everybody knows Zach's going to get married. So they just want, you know what? We're done with it. Let it be. It is what it is. Zach is over with. So it's fine. It's fine.
But they let her know that he's loyal, passionate, kind, and ambitious. Yeah. And so then from there they go into their vows. They have really nice vows. And the one thing that I'm not negating their vows, but the one thing I take away from Married at First Sight is I want the participants to stop writing your vows with I will always or I will never. Please. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know this person.
You don't know this person. So, like our daughter said, you should say, I will try to be at all times. Mm-hmm. I'll do my best not to at all times. But don't say I will always. I will never.
Because look how many people so far done lied on their wedding day to
Zach. I think about Zach and Mindy. Like Zach had all this fluff in his vows and he didn't do not near bit of it.
Yeah, he was one of those cats that his vows didn't mean anything to him. But one thing I will say about Zach's vows, he knew it. He said it from the heart. And he didn't have anything written down. And
he did.
And Michaela was like, "Let's go right now."
Yeah.
He won her over by saying the vows from his heart. Nothing written down. That she was like, you know what?
Come on, let's go. That does it for me. Yeah, I thought that was cute.
She was ready to roll.
I thought that was cute. And she did her vows or whatever, which were sweet. And so then, they exchanged the rings. And like I said, their hands are all stretched way across the altar, which I was like, wow, okay. But he asked, can I give you a kiss when it's time to seal the deal? Yeah. Can I give you a kiss? Yes, you can give me a kiss. And
she said she was ready for the kiss. She was going to go. She was going to let him kiss her. So she was, again, goes back to what I mentioned. She said she's committed to this process.
Yes.
So she's willing to do whatever this process asks her to do, and they're going to make it work. And right now, I think if she stays this way, their marriage will work. Now we'll see later on in the season, and I may change my mind. But where she's at right now, and being committed to the process, which means she's going to listen to the experts. She's going to do what they ask her to do or suggest that she does in order to either make her marriage more, to save it, or whatever the case may be. So I like the fact that she's committed to the process. And
then we see them chat after they walk out. They had the point where they had the little champagne or whatever. They talk about how old each one of them is. She's 30, he's 27, and he said he's fine with that. He prefers an older woman that works for him.
Got himself a cougar.
Not really.
Not really. I know.
But she asked about what was the Renaissance man thing about, and that's what I'm like. Anyway, his dad taught them how to make lotion and crochet when they were younger.
Yeah, and that's what he came out with about me and Renaissance Man.
I was like, what he should have said was,
I play music on the side.
Yes, I play music. I have a main job. I can crochet. I can make lotion. I'm handy.
I cut grass. I do anything. I got a lawn care business.
I'm artistic. I can paint. And, I can paint a picture with a song. I was like, that's a Renaissance man. I write poetry. I make lotion and I crochet.
I think he was nervous.
And he was like, and I still crochet every once in a while, not as much as I used to.
I think he was nervous, and because then he goes on to tell her what he actually does for a living. That I think he said he's a computer programmer.
Yeah, computer programmer and software engineer.
So you know what? She could be happy with that.
But
because when he first came out and said, I can crochet and make soap lotion. She was looking like, what in the world did I marry?
She was kind of looking like, well, I don't think I know anybody that can make lotion.
But she also in her mind was thinking like, I'm gonna support this dude who ain't got no job.
But honestly, for real, from the start, I was thinking that too. I was like, okay, he's playing the piano or whatever. I was like, what does he like? Is that his main thing? And that's fine. But it didn't seem like that was his main thing, so I'm glad to hear that he has a main thing, because it was kind of sounding like Bennett.
It was touchy good.
It was kind of sounding like Bennett, like, I be all over the place.
I be all over the place.
But let's keep going with Michaela and Zach. So they talk about her having a dog. I think he was talking to his brothers.
Yeah.
About her having a dog. Nova is a husky. And she talks to her sister about how much his family likes her, and her sisters and Michaela are like, well, we like his family so far too. They seem pretty cool.
It seems like they're pretty mixed well with each other.
Yeah, she says it's already off the top. It feels very natural, and I'm really comfortable with him. And so while they're taking pictures, it's like, okay, what do I do with my hands? He was like, why don't you put it right here? I want to kiss you. She's like, well, go ahead.
Go ahead then. They got close, which they felt more comfortable.
Yes.
When their family was around and when it's time to take the pictures, they felt comfortable. Now, we don't know how long this is after the wedding. I'm sure they debrief and do all the production stuff and all that. But again, during the time frame, they're feeling comfortable with each other, which is great. Which is a great sign, because we mentioned Woody and Amani.
Yeah, they were real comfortable.
They were real comfortable with each other at the wedding, and we see how that turned out. So being comfortable from the get go, that's a good sign.
Yeah, Michaela said if you had to rate chemistry from 0 to 10. She said chemistry's at about a 9 now.
Yeah.
I'm very attracted to him, and she was like, I can have sex with him. Yeah.
I think I
can have his kids.
She was like,
just by looking at him, I can tell you that.
Yeah, just by the look. She don't need nothing else. She just need to look.
They talked about, he was like, what was your first impression of me? I was like, he's very handsome. I'm definitely happy with it. This works.
Yeah, they were feeling each other. They had good conversation.
For sure.
They had great conversation.
For sure.
Great conversation.
So Zach and Michaela are off to a good start.
Zach and Michaela are off to a good start, and their families like each other, and the reception seems like it's going to turn up a little bit more next week.
And then one thing I want to say is the way the wedding went, they made a point to kind of like put the camera on Zach's dad, and like even Zach's dad was like teary. with
his son
how
getting married.
yeah, but and I guess it's just touching. Just
it's like this when a father knows that his son is happy, or a father can see the joy that's in his son, or see everything that he put in his son coming to fruition. That's overjoyous, because guess what? You're not locked up, you're not dead, you're not, whatever case may be, but you're doing things the right way, and we've taught you well. So it becomes a proud moment for a father.
Yeah, and it's like you could see they liked each other from the jump. So
yeah.
So that's it with Zac and Michaela. Like I said, one of my favorites so far.
Only 2 episodes are your favorite.
Yes. Bow and Johnny too. One
of
my favorites. So let's go to Bow and Johnny. We know they're both Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And at the end of the last episode, they talked about how they wanted to do a traditional Vietnamese tea ceremony. And that was, Bow said that was something that she was adamant that she wanted to do. And it was funny because Johnny said, well, I said I wanted to do it too.
I want to do it too.
And so they're doing it.
Yeah,
and it just so happens
they have kind of like the same designer.
They have matching clothes. It looks like they coordinated it, but they absolutely didn't.
Now, one's kind of wine-ish and gold, and other.
Yeah, he said he asked for wine and gold, and she asked for red and gold.
Red and gold.
But they were matching.
They were matching, and the family, and to bring their families together, they both agreed upon that, and we had the discussion too. If Johnny's father would have known this is how it was going to be, would he have supported Johnny in this matter? And I come to find out that Dad knew that it was going to be to a Vietnamese woman, that she was going to like him, somebody that Johnny already knew, that he might have supported the stuff that Johnny was doing.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see, like, as we go along in this process, will he pop up in some way, shape, or form? Not physically,
right?
But I'm sure he'll come up. Johnny might be like, I talked to my dad. I explained to him, because I really do feel like if he knew it was a Vietnamese woman, and how everything would go with the tea ceremony and how she's familiar with their customs and everything, I think he would feel better about it.
And I think he might have told him, but Dad just didn't know what he was getting, because I'm sure that was might have been one of Johnny's criteria. She might need to be Vietnamese, or even Bow's criteria. I don't know that they may need to be Vietnamese, and so therefore you got what you got.
So we see the tea ceremony is in the officiant lets us know that the tea ceremony is a symbolic of the joining of two families, and it's a ceremony honoring their ancestors and asking the ancestors to watch over them both. And so they have to serve tea to their parents as a sign of respect and blessing, and to get their blessing.
Get the blessing, yeah.
And so we see Bow's mom and dad there, and we see Johnny's mom and how they all serve the tea. And then the family members had something that they didn't get into what it was, but they had something that each family member came and presented and had laying on the table for the tea ceremony. But it was very interesting. I would have liked to see the whole thing, being that's obviously we're not Vietnamese. And I've never witnessed it.
Right.
So I think it would have been nice to see like the whole thing.
It would have been nice to see the whole thing, but I understand. I mean, I guarantee they got the whole thing recorded.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's on the cutting room floor.
Oh yeah.
But again, we like Bow, we like Johnny. I think they would do well together. They had their first dance.
Yes, they did.
They had their first dance, and so Bow and Johnny were dancing, and she was really into it. She was really into it.
They enjoyed that.
They enjoyed it.
She said I'm very attracted to Johnny. He's fit.
Yeah.
And he works out, and she was like, so we match in that area. She was like, he looked very handsome in his suit. So the one thing we did wonder is, okay, so did they do the wedding, then the tea ceremony, and then put back on their wedding clothes, or was the tea ceremony after the fact?
I think tea ceremony was in the middle. I think they did the wedding, tea ceremony, and then back to reception. I think that's. I feel
like I kind of would have. I wouldn't have wanted to change out of the tea ceremony outfit like that. I wouldn't have wanted.
Yeah, but that's how they end up doing. Unless they did it on a separate day, but I doubt.
So in their first dance, Johnny talks to Bow about, why did you get into this? He said, I came to it because I want to get married and I want to have kids. And she was like, that was my purpose too. They talked about, how many kids you want to have. She was like, I think at least 2. I think for a minute Johnny was like, like he kind of wanted more than 2.
Like Johnny 115.
I don't know. But he was like, okay, I could work with 2. And he said the one thing about it is like they knew each other,
but they
didn't know each other. And so he could tell she was a little bit stiff and kind of not uncomfortable, but
apprehensive.
Yeah, apprehensive. And so he wanted to be respectful. And so even though Johnny said, I wanted to kiss her, but I'm trying to be respectful.
Yeah, he tried to keep the boundaries. And he keep
ease her into it.
Ease her into it, make her feel comfortable, and then move from that realm. Even though you knew them 14 years or 15 years ago, it wasn't on that type of level.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants to make her feel comfortable and feel safe as they get into deeper parts of their relationship.
Yeah. All right, so technically we're finished with those 2 weddings.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the next one. We see Gil and Mira.
Yep, Gil and Mira.
Preparing for their wedding. So they go to look for him, his tuxedo, and her for her dress.
Yeah.
And so he goes with his friends Christian, Brian, and Richard.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you know, he's getting into Married at First Sight because he wants somebody to come home to. He wants somebody that he can be goofy with and have a good time with. Yeah. Because, you know, he's in a pretty serious profession. He's a firefighter. So he wants to be able to come home and relax and take off the stress of the day.
Right, and he doesn't want to just go play with his dog, his pit bull. He wants to be able to have some human companionship.
Yeah.
And so he wants some human companionship that can last for a while. And I think his friends are excited about the fact that he is getting married. We found out that Gil stands for Gilbert. And so he want to build that up. And I thought, you know, Gil is very well spoken. He even, you know knows what he wants for his wedding to look. You know, he didn't try to leave it up to the guy at the tuxedo place, but he wants to know. Which shows that he has detail. There's detail. He's detail oriented, mm-hmm. which shows that he is caring and concerned about his appearance. Because getting to that later, Merla, her friends were talking about, you know, somebody who's keeping up their appearance. Mm-hmm. So he is concerned about his appearance, just not maybe on the level that she wants him to be, right, or what she wants him to wear.
Or no, or where she is.
Or where she is, like yeah. Or where she is.
Yeah. So flip side, we see Mira going to pick out a dress with her friends Quiana and Clarissa. Mm-hmm. And off the top, she's in there looking, I don't want no rhinestones. I don't want no shiny stuff. I don't want this. I don't want that. I do want long sleeves. I want this. And Pastor Cal comes after this and is like, you know, Mira's a bit of a diva, but we feel like Gil can kind of bring that down and balance her out.
She is, though. I mean, she's a diva in a good way, though, because she knows what she wants. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I say that, and she can afford what she wants. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things, I think people, when we talk about getting married or you think the person's going to bring down your lifestyle, anything, y'all supposed to enhance each other, because now there's more things coming into it. You got to be open with it. It has to, again, I think I started out saying there has to be a compromise here. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a compromise somewhere in here. And again, that's a hard conversation to have. You only know this person for a couple of hours, and you got one of the first conversations you have. And I'm not saying I had that conversation because we don't know yet. It's going to be about money. Right.
Which is also something that Gil and his friends talk about. Mm-hmm. He says, you know, that I'll be good with somebody that may want to take expensive and extravagant trips, which we know Mira says she likes to do her traveling. Mm-hmm. She has expensive taste. And he said he's good with that. Right. He doesn't have a problem with that. But he doesn't want somebody that's materialistic. And Mira is on the border.
She's on the border, but I mean, they both kind of got what they didn't want. In a sense, he did want somebody who was materialistic, and she's kind of on a border because she does give away a lot of things. She does support the community. She does help out. She does give back like he does. But she also caught up in a world where I need designer XYZ. Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of materialistic, but again, she can afford it.
Right.
So, and then she doesn't want a guy who's bald. Or to have a dog.
And she doesn't want someone that's not going to be able to help her or allow her to maintain her current lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's something that it can be worked out. Again, like you said, I'm coming into it with my salary, with my savings, whatever the case may be. I have the means to continue this lifestyle. So they may not even get to the point, but eventually, you know, when you get married, you get to the point where you put your funds together. And so it should be easy to maintain that lifestyle. But the other thing is, if your spouse is like, spend all that money makes me itch. Why are you doing that? But he'll have to take that mindset that this is what she did before I came along.
This is what she did.
I would like her to be more thrifty, but then I'll just be thrifty and I'll make sure things get done. Because obviously she's taking care, she's still paying her bills, you know?
Yeah, she's still taking care of what she needs to. So again, it has to become compromising. This is one thing that's going to be interesting to watch in the next couple of weeks. See how this unfolds. Yeah. See how it plays out, and see how they can work through this. Maybe with the help of the professionals, maybe not. But we got to see how they work through it. I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to too. Is see how they work through this financial thing, which we already know is there.
Yeah. So fast forward, it's the day of the wedding. We see Mirla, her friends come and meet her. You know, she's excited about the day. How you feeling? And Mirla's like, I want somebody that's faithful and kind and amazing. I want us to have a connection with them. You know, and her biggest thing again is I want them tall, dark, and handsome. And bearded. I like hair. I do not want a bald man.
Doesn't want a bald man. And that's what she got though.
And we also see
tone change though.
You jumping ahead.
I'm sorry, I ain't gonna jump ahead. Not gonna jump ahead, sorry.
Because I want to get to that too. Because so she's particular about herself and her stuff and what she wants. Even when it came to her getting her makeup done, like her bridesmaids already had their makeup done, and she's looking at them like, I don't want that. Like I've never worn makeup, which I was surprised. Yeah, I felt like she wore something.
She wants to be natural.
I came to the conclusion that let's go back. She said she does Botox, and she always gets her lashes done. So maybe that's why she doesn't wear so much makeup. But she's like, I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't know what you're doing with my hair. Can you just put some of that pressed powder on? Yeah. I don't want my eyes to look like this. Don't do that. But I want a little eyebrows. Don't make my eyebrows look like theirs. I was like, good gosh, what do you want then?
But like I'm telling you, I think she's getting this edit because I guarantee you she's not the first woman who came on this show.
Probably
in
not.
all the 13 seasons that this has been on, who was not happy with their makeup and wanted to be done a certain type of way. We might not have seen it, and I think they're trying to build out of her the villain role early.
But they talk about, you know, like what if you know you don't like, you know, what he looks like or whatever. And her friend Ronika says, oh, we can fix ugly.
Yeah.
We can fix ugly. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. But her biggest thing is don't want a bald-headed man. We see Gil talking to his friends Willie, Christian, and Carlton. And he says, you know, I want there to be passion there. And, you know, I just want us to, again, basically, same thing she said, I want there to be connection. And so his friend Christian asked that question. I was like, really, Christian? He was like, so my question is, do you think you're going to get some tonight? But you did not say that.
He didn't say get some. You think y'all going to F word, insert F word here tonight?
I was like, boy.
He was like.
So crude. He was like, look, my thing is, I don't do much effing. Basically, that's what he said. He was like, I want there to be passion there when we do that. He said, but having just met her that day, it can't be with so much passion. So I'm gonna say no.
Then he comes back and say maybe day number 2. I mean, it's just one of those maybe day number 2, day number 3.
He did.
But you know, I understand what Gil's talking about. He wants to be connected to that person mentally and emotionally. More so, he wants to be connected to them physically. And so, which is a key there, which is a recipe for success. But everybody just has to be on the same page. Yeah, and Mirla's friend is very concerned when it comes to her that, you know, what if her expectations aren't met? You know, what if it's not there? I'm concerned about how you'll react if it's not what you expect it to be. And they talk about,
kissing the kiss at the altar, and she was like, no, I'm not kissing him. I don't know him. I'm not. Yeah.
She's like,
what if he wants a kiss on the cheek? And she was still kind of like,
no. She's like, no. She was like, he can do right here.
Yeah.
And what he does.
Yeah, but she didn't seem very like, yes,
But she's consistent because
she did.
She said that when she was with the young lady, the other bride. So she's been consistent in everything she said, and we get to the wedding, she's consistent there too. Mm-hmm. When he leans in for a kiss, she gave him the cold shoulder. I mean,
not the cold shoulder.
She gave him the cheek. She gave him the cheek.
And he was kind of like, oh, okay.
And he took it. So guess what? It's fine.
You jumping ahead again though.
No harm, no foul.
So let's see. We see Gil at the altar waiting for his bride to come in. When the bridesmaids came in, they saw him and they were like, oh, he's nice looking. But you could see them like,
but he's bald. Like,
I can't wait to see what she does.
They're like, wait till she get a load of this.
Oh my gosh, they were looking like, oh boy. Oh boy. And her brother Juan walked her in. I don't know if I can't remember if she said this before, but her dad's passed away. And her brother Juan talks to her and said, Dad would be proud. You look like a princess. And they share a touching moment. And,
because she like crying. He felt like crying when it was something like that. He was ready. He broke down. Not broke down, but he got touched up. He got touched.
Yeah.
Had a moment.
They both got emotional there. And that's understandable. I know I would feel the same way. I thank God. I'm not gonna get choked up now.
Yeah, don't do it.
My dad was there to walk me down the aisle. My dad did pass away 2 years after we got married, but my dad was there to walk me down the aisle. And side note, not that y'all asked, but not only did he walk me down the aisle, he walked me down the aisle, and then he went on the other side and officiated the wedding. He officiated the wedding along with my father-in-law and our current pastor. That we had it. We had the Trinity. We did it in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. We had three pastors. What?
To do a wedding. Nah, anyway. They do the wedding. But it was. I mean, it was understandable. So I mean, of course, people want their father there. Yeah. They want their. We saw that with Michaela. Mm-hmm. Michaela wanted her dad to be there. And she said, I think she said it. No young girl ever thinks about getting married and not have her father walk them down the aisle.
Absolutely.
So she wanted him to be there. So that's why it was a touching moment.
Yeah. So, but we see Mira come in, and she sees Gil, and her first response is, "Oh my God, he's bald."
He's bald.
He's good. I specifically asked for him not to be bald.
And she can never really say why she didn't want a bald head man.
She just didn't. You just have preferences. I don't have no problem. I mean, my husband has hair, but I don't have no problem with a bald-headed man. Like some men with bald heads, it looks really nice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I got plenty of cousins and uncles that are bald on my mom's side.
Bald with a beard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that was the one thing I was like, I wish he hadn't cut his facial hair. Because up until that point, he had facial hair. So not only is he bald on his head, he got a bald face too. I was like, Gil.
Throwing people off.
But anyway, when he sees her, when she comes to the altar, he's like, oh, you're gorgeous. Your dress is pretty. And we kept waiting for the compliment to be reciprocated.
And she gave him nothing.
Said nothing.
And she never said anything. Now, according to what we saw, I only can report of what we saw. I don't know what happened at the wedding. She might have said something.
I feel like she did.
Later on, she may say she said this, that, and the other. But what we saw was that she didn't give him any compliments. Not even that you look nice today. Hey, nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. None of that stuff. So. Yeah,
no. But they read the family and friend letters, and it was like, so on both sides, like, okay, here we go. So, they talked about her shopping. Mm-hmm. They talked about her fixing him low-carb foods, biscuits and muffins.
Working out.
Yeah. They talked about her working out, her being active in her community, giving away clothes, even if it's in designer clothes that she's doing it.
She's doing it.
And, the way she felt when she saw that bald head, when they were telling that, he was like, oof.
Like, what did I get myself into?
Woo.
He was like, "Oh my God, this is what I mean, I can see him right now, just beads of sweat. Somebody, this is what I signed up for." But you know.
But on the flip side, they talked about Gil being the life of the party, and just how enthusiastic and excitable he is. And we know from before, Mira's more laid back.
Very laid back.
She's more laid back. And then they talk about the fact that he's got a dog, a pit bull mix named Hype. And she was like, oh gosh.
That's my type of hype, babe.
She was like, oh gosh. Which we see them talk about after the wedding.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, is he slobbery though? Because I don't do a lot of slobbery.
Does he shed?
And does he shed? Yes, he does shed. But
I clean it
Gil
up.
says, I'm a neat freak, so I clean it up. I get the hair up. And she was like, okay.
And then in her little vignette, she's like, I'm never going to walk. Don't come. I like dogs. Oh, you dad moms and dad people, but I'm not walking a dog.
Yeah, she was like, I can get used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I'm not walking it.
No. But they had nice vows again. I think I would avoid a lot of promises. I would kind of, just talk about, I'll try to always be, I'll try to be patient, like, because that's who I am.
Yeah.
But okay, now you can call each other those cherished names, husband and wife, and you kiss the bride. It's just like you said. He goes in for it, and she goes.
Yep, she gives him the cheek.
She gave him the cheek.
She was honest. I don't know a stranger. I'm not gonna kiss you on the lips. I'm gonna make sure you kiss me on the cheek.
But the one thing I did like, after the fact with the vignette, we see Gil saying, I'm excited about her. I'm mesmerized at how pretty she is. And we hear Mira say she's attracted to him.
And that she can get used to,
She can get past the bald head.
Get past the bald head.
She said he had kind eyes. And, he was dressed sharp.
Even though it was a tuxedo, she said, I figured he's supposed to be dressed nice in the tuxedo.
Right, so she said, I'm interested to see what his actual style is outside of this. I like the fact that, again, like you said, we do not see everything when it comes to the wedding. Because we did see at the beginning when he walked in, they kind of showed her mom, and she kind of looked at Juan like, oh, he's bald headed.
Right.
But what we didn't see is, and Mira and Gil talk about it, is the fact that, for one, he was born in Colombia.
Yes, and moved here. He's been here a long time, but not his whole life. So he's Colombian, and she was like, oh, one day I'd like to go to Colombia. And he was like, well, basically stick with me, kid, and you will go. Hang with me, boo.
And she said some Spanish, and he said something back. She was like, oh, you speak Spanish? And I was like, that's the funniest thing. He just told you that he hasn't been in the United States his whole life. He was born and raised for some time in Colombia, so he obviously spoke Spanish there.
But in the defense, right? There are people who come from other countries who don't pick up that language, of that native tongue. But
not if you've lived there for some time.
But he lived there. Yes, he lived there for some time.
Yeah.
And so she just wanted to make sure. I think she was a little bit of nervousness as well.
Yeah.
That it's like, you speak Spanish too? Oh, y'all speak Spanish too? Okay, good. Let's make sure you're fully Spanish. Because again, she might have thought, before he said he was from Colombia, that he was an African American gentleman. She might have thought that. So,
that's true.
So he might have thought he was an African American gentleman. So again, when she started having that discussion with him, they started conversing. Then she started beginning to say, "Oh, this, that, and the others." So there was more conversation prior to what we saw.
But the whole thing that I was about to say about that was that we didn't see Gil greet her mother.
Right.
And he spoke to her and was like, hello, in English and everything. And then he asked her, you speak Spanish? And he began to speak to her in Spanish.
Right.
And she responded back, and she kind of was like, oh, okay. And so in the conversation between Mira and Gil, we find out that both of their mothers are Spanish speaking only.
Yep.
So it's good that he speaks Spanish, and that's what I'm saying. It wasn't no play Spanish. Okay? When he talked to Mama, he was like rattled it off, and she was like, okay.
He had everything in order, right? All the verbs and that.
Yeah.
Everything was good. So
yeah. So they talk about kids as well, just a little, just make it conversation.
Yeah.
They both want kids. She says, like, I want 1 or 2. It depends on what babies do to my body. If I just, which, and if I could get the when I get the mommy makeover afterwards. And he was kind of like,
oh
okay.
Lord, he's like, oh Lord, what I got myself into. But again, those are conversations you have down the road.
Yeah, what do you do? I'm a firefighter. I used to be a trainer. And she says, well, I'm a former principal. And now what I do is, first she called herself an educator. And then she says, I consult in teachers and principals. That's what I do now. And, he was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess he was trying to relate that kind of to her lifestyle.
He was trying to figure out her because, again, she said she was a principal, a former teacher, a former principal. Now she's a consultant for schools in the school district. So he was looking at, okay, you're a consultant for schools in the school district. What are you, what are you playing? Where are you at? What are you doing in life? And so when he told her about him being a firefighter, I was looking at her facial expression. I wanted to see if she
was counting in her head, like
counting or frowned up. But again, because of their history of them caring for each other, and him able to articulate that and explain it to her, I think she's cool and she accepts the fact of who he is.
Yeah, they talked about how they both like to help in their community.
Yep.
And again, he said since he's a former trainer, they work out, and she's like, I work out too, so they
remember she have a matching outfit on.
Yes.
She don't go anywhere without a matching outfit.
So he's liking her. She's feeling him. We'll see how much more at the reception.
Yeah, we'll see how much more at the reception. See if these two continue to get along. Look like there's gonna be some fireworks at the reception based off the preview that people want to gonna ask good questions, and let's see if she answers them.
And so we do see the other 2 couples. We see Brett going to look for her dress.
Yes.
And we see Ryan going to look for his tuxedo. Brett's with her friends Brandy and Christine and her mom Nancy.
Yeah.
And Ryan is with his best man and friend, who's also Ryan, but he's Ryan K.
Ryan K.
And then he's got his friends Tiffany and Julia with him. And Ryan talks about the fact that he wants kids. And he talked about how he had planned. He said, if I'm not married by 25, I'm going to adopt. He wants to be married and have kids.
If I'm not married by 30,
I want to adopt. If I'm not married by 35, I want to adopt. Well, obviously he hasn't adopted.
And for instance, man, you need to stop that. Basically, like you need to just live life, have fun, and when it happens, it happens.
And they say, they talked about him being in the married at first sight process. What makes you think you're ready? He was like, well, y'all know, in my last few relationships, I've been more serious. So I think I'm going into this more serious and ready to really settle down.
Yeah, so he grew up and he now wants to find somebody. Again, we always said that with him, that he wants to find somebody that love because of his friend passing away. He had to put life in perspective. And so this is what I need to do in order to keep me sane, to keep my life right. I need to be married. He has a desire. I'm not saying that he's on the level of Zach, but he desired in these last few years, I need to be married and stop being a playboy.
So again, we see them. He picks out his tuxedo, and she gets a nice dress. That I think she got kind of choked up getting her dress.
She did. She got choked up. She got a little emotional. It was. I mean, the guy made him because he told her to, look in the mirror.
Close your eyes.
And visualize your groom being right there and look in the mirror. So she really took the exercise seriously, and she closed her eyes and tears came out. So she was bought in.
So then we see them preparing for wedding day. Her sister Jennifer talks to her. She says she wants someone with an open heart and genuine, and hopefully it's somebody that loves dogs. That's a plus because she's got a dog.
Yes.
But as long as he's open, that'd be fine with me. She says she's been hurt a lot, and so that's the one thing that she doesn't want. She does not want to get hurt. She doesn't want her heart broken.
Nobody wants their heart broken. She wants to make sure that this is the real thing and it stays the real thing. And that's why I think, too, she's open for the process. She's willing to go through the process. Will there be some bumps in the road? Heck yeah. If every time he open a closet or see her come home, this new Prada, new Gucci, new Louis Vuitton, new whatever, there's going to be an issue. But that's something, again, they're going to have to work out.
Yeah, and that's not Brett.
Oh, no, not Brett, sorry.
Yeah.
Brett is...
Well, from what we can see. Not saying that she doesn't have those kind of tastes like Marilyn, but... Yeah.
I'm still on Miller. But I mean, Brett is laid down and she's relaxed. She's down to earth. She's a school teacher. She's a volleyball coach. So Brett is one of those. She relaxed. I think this couple right here works well with each other. I think they match each other out. So I think Brett and Ryan will do well, and I like them.
Yeah, because he says he wants someone that's a genuinely good person, not someone that's putting on airs. That's fake. I want somebody that's genuinely good. He also wants somebody that's active, which you said she's a volleyball coach, so she's active.
She's very active.
Because he says that's what I want to do together. So it's not like I'm working out and taking time away from us, but we can work out together. That's time we can spend together. And
we saw with him, in the previous episode, that he's riding his bike. He like riding his bike, walking his dog, like to be involved in all the aspects. And I think they will work together in that aspect because, again, Brett want to be married. She hasn't been in a relationship or kissed a person physically
in 2 years.
In 2 years, attached to anybody in 2 years. So she really wants to be married, and she's committed to the process.
And so we see him getting prepared for the wedding. We see Ryan K with them again, his friends Taylor and Liam, and then we see her mom and dad, her mom Nancy and her dad Don. And Don is like, you seem so calm going into this, and he's like, we're not. I'm not calm at all.
You can see he was sweating a lot. I mean, he was sweating.
Dad was like, whew.
He didn't wait till his ties unraveled and he's sweating. You can tell he was sweating. He's nervous, but he's trying to hold it together.
Yeah,
he's trying to hold it in.
But while they're sitting there talking, they deliver the gift. From her future husband. Yes. And she gets some flowers, and the flowers say, to my new mother-in-law. Yes. And they're like, what does that mean? And I thought they speculated that maybe he has an animal or something like that. I don't know.
He was giving it to, he was being respectful. And they didn't get, he was being respectful that he was giving a flower to the
No. The flowers went to Brett.
I thought the mom had the flower.
No, the flowers went to Brett.
But Mom took the flower.
I thought it went to Brett.
No, Mom took the flowers and looked at them. And she did. I really swear she did. Yeah.
I thought they made, it was a little laugh about it. It's like what does that mean?
No, he was like, oh, we're going to keep him because he sent the flowers to the mother-in-law for being respectful.
Okay. I'll have to go back and check it out. But I thought it was like, I'm giving it to you from... Okay, but anyway. So she gets a box. Yeah. And the card with the box says, last chance.
It had a pair of shoes.
And she's like, what is this, a last chance to run? What is that about? But it's a nice pair of shoes. Yeah. But again, we know he works out.
But it's a nice little joke.
So, a little joke. She was like, I like him already. He's witty.
He's witty.
Yeah, I like it. But we didn't see where she gave him a gift. Yeah. Which she may have. I think they asked them, what I've seen over the past few seasons, I think they asked them to get each other a gift. Yeah, to make the show asked them to get each other a gift.
And it makes it change. It makes it nice. I mean, you get to see how thoughtful the person is. It also clues you into who you're marrying. Again, based off this way, somebody who's witty, who's fun, who likes to have a good time. So...
So she's nervous because she's like, when I see him and this whole process, it could go either way. So I'm nervous about that. And on the flip side, Ryan's over there, he's sweating, just the anticipation, like, let's get this thing going or whatever. So that's where we leave it with them. We thought we were going to get to see their wedding, but we didn't.
We're not. We'll get to see the other two weddings, the final two weddings on the next episode of Married at First Sight. We'll get to see the wedding, see this reception. Hopefully we get to, the morning after, but I doubt it. I think that's a new episode. I mean, they always put that in an episode by itself where they get to see them talk to the family members. So we'll get the two weddings, and we'll get everybody into their hotel room that night on the next episode. And then the following episode, we'll get the morning, and then the following episode, we'll probably get the honeymoon. So again, they're dragging this out.
Yeah, because this one we did see, we saw a little less of Rachel and Jose than we did of Brett and Ryan. We see them going to pick out their wedding attire. Rachel with her friends Stephanie and Larissa, her mom Alicia. She talks about how she's ready to get married. What kind of dress does she want? She doesn't really want a lot of bling, but she does want something to show off her figure, because she worked hard and she's lost 35 pounds in the last nine months, and so she wants something that will show her progress, because her confidence is up. So she wants something that reflects the newly gained confidence that she has. Yes.
And the dress that we saw her pick out, it was pretty decent. The one that we saw her pick out, and it did reflect what she wanted. It did reflect the fact that she lost 35 pounds. And she looked nice in it.
She looked nice. And so we see Jose going to pick out his tuxedo, and he's like, yeah, I want something a little bit flashy, not too much. You know, he said, I'm ready to get married. His dad, Jose Sr., is there, and his friend Emmanuel, and they're helping him pick something out. He ended up with something with a little sparkly tuxedo jacket. Their concern with him is he's a perfectionist, and Jose's concern is, what if she's not attracted to me? He wants it to be love at first sight, and his friend is like, well, what if it's not love at first sight? And he said that's a little bit scary to him, and it is a concern that he's going into it with. But him
and 276 questions,
256 or something like that.
Yeah, but again, he'll be fine. I think when they see each other, that is going to be, again, I don't want to say for love at first sight. You can't love them at first sight, but they will be infatuated with each other. They'll be attracted to each other. I think they'll be attracted to each other when they start seeing them.
Yeah, I think for the last two couples, I'm pretty certain that when they see each other, they'll be attracted to each other.
Yeah, they'll be attracted to each other.
Yeah, so that's where we got left off at. Again, like my husband said, the next two weddings the next time. Probably peak at everybody's reception, hopefully.
Yeah.
And
hopefully the night in the hotel.
Hopefully.
Hey, before we go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification. Give us a thought. Give us your thoughts on this review and on this episode of Married at First Sight. What do you think? Do you think Gil and Marla are going to Not Marla. Mira are gonna make it. What was your first impressions of the two couples that got married of Married at First Sight? Let us know in the comment section below. As always,
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.